I'm Geoff Baker of the Seattle Times. Welcome to Around the Blogosphere, our daily rapid-fire look at all the happenings going on with the Seattle Mariners as written up in our local blogosphere. And this morning we're going to start off with Seattle Sports Insider, where author Jeff Clark has a series of posts going all over Mariners draft pick James Paxton. Of course, if you read the blog yesterday, we reported that Paxton's going to be in Seattle today for a physical, and after that he's going to sign his deal with the Mariners. You'll remember Paxton was drafted in the 4th round, a left-handed starting pitcher from the University of Kentucky. He's a British Columbia native, drafted in the 4th round by the Mariners last year, but the catch is he was drafted in the 1st round, the supplemental round, by the Toronto Blue Jays in 2009, a number 37 overall pick. So the Mariners might be getting quite a bargain here if this ends up working out. So Jeff Clark's all over it. He's taking a look at it. His conclusion is that a pitcher with Paxton's velocity, a pitcher with his curveball, and with all his other strengths would be an easy #1 pick if it wasn't for practically the year off that he took after he was first drafted by Toronto. He ended up pitching 17 innings or so in the independent leagues. His conclusion is that, Jeff Clark even writes this, he goes, quote, "I'll trade you 3 Taijuan Walkers for 1 James Paxton." And for those of you who don't remember, Taijuan Walker was the team's 1st round draft pick last season. Clark actually writes that he would trade 8 Taijuan Walkers for 1 Paxton if it wasn't for the time off that Paxton ended up missing. So go ahead and have a read of that. Over at USS Mariner, Dave Cameron talks about Eric Bedard's 9-pitch outing the other day, and he concludes that it was very positive. He said the most positive part about it was the 91 miles an hour velocity that Bedard was hitting on the radar gun. Now, it wasn't the radar gun, it was the Pitch FX machines that were recording that. And here's the thing, Dave Cameron reminds everybody that Pitch FX machines have been known to be a little wonky in certain parks, and he's not sure how well they're calibrated down here in spring training. He says it's excellent that a pitcher like Bedard is already throwing 91 in the first week of spring training games, but he cautions people to temper the optimism a little bit, because the Pitch FX machines have been known to make mistakes velocity-wise down in spring training. And he also talks a little bit about Yorman Chavez, who I've dubbed Stormin Yorman Chavez, because he's taken this place by storm with some of his hits and some of his throws. And he mentions that he's had an excellent spring so far. Yorman Chavez has. He's a Class A player who should be in AA this season, a left fielder, primarily a left fielder. But he cautions that the pitchers down here are not exactly throwing their best stuff. It's not like they have a scouting report on Chavez. It's not like they're pounding him inside or throwing him a breaking ball that they know he can't hit. So he says, again, temper your optimism, because the results that Chavez is getting down here are probably not the same that he'd be getting in a real game situation with real major league pitchers who are exploiting his weaknesses. I happen to agree with that, and that's it's pretty hard to argue with that. The pitchers down here are just trying to get their throws in, just trying to, a lot of them are just throwing primarily fastballs, and in a real major league game, Chavez would not be seeing that. He's obviously got a ways to go, but, it's encouraging that he's done this so far. That would be my take on it. In Pro Ball Northwest, John Shields has an interesting look at the all-time games played leaders at every position for the Seattle Mariners. He runs it down 1 through 9, and he looks at who's played the most games at each position. Obviously, Edgar Martinez leads in the DH category, and there's a lot of people whose names you would expect to find there. Although in right field, you still have Jay Buhner. Jay Buhner is still there in right field, and John Shields warns us that's not going to last for very much longer, because Ichiro's right on his heels. So take a look at that, and you'll see a bit about what Seattle Mariners history has looked like in each position. Going on, we have Prospect Insider, and they've been reviewing the upcoming 2011 June draft. And today they have an in-depth look at all the draft-eligible players at the catching position. So that's worth a read. Go over there and take a look at some of the better ones at the catching position as the draft approaches in June. That's going to be it for now. I'm Geoff Baker at the Seattle Times. I'll see you all out at the ballpark.